makes a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history.
Hey guys, good evening and welcome to my side of the channel. We're discussing Mandela Effect in this live. Thanks for joining me today as we uncover the mysteries of the Mandela Effect itself and find out the true meaning of it all. We must discover what is really happening, what is really going on.
What difference does that make? This was a dream, a fantasy. I mean, you said just shut up, Offsetter, and tell me where the ticket is.
Hello?
Yeah, hello? Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, is this Jarica?
Yep, it is.
Hi, I'm Brian McFarlane. Nice to meet you.
Right.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm fine. We're just going to have pretty much an informal interview, so you can totally relax, okay?
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, so anyway, is your husband there too? Can he get on?
He is.
Can he call the number that's on your phone? I'll three-way us real quick.
Yeah. Okay, so he just calls me? Or
Yeah, he can call you. That's fine.
Or how does it work? I've never done.
You just merge the calls. Are you on Android or iPhone?
I'm on iPhone.
Okay. There should be an option to merge the two calls, like conference call.
Okay, so when he calls me and then I look at the screen, I just hit merge?
Yeah. Yeah, either merge or conference.
Oh, okay.
And what's his name?
Adam.
Adam, okay. Cool.
Yeah, probably go on the other end of the house just so we don't get any sort of I don't know, feedback or you hear, or I don't know.
Now, Candice is on the other end of the spectrum. Okay. She has a husband who is not Mandela affected. Do you mind if I bring her in too?
No, that'd be cool. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know her through a couple, I think we're in 3 groups together. So
okay. So you know Candice?
I know of her. Yeah.
Well, okay, good. And she can actually help me ask some questions. She's into the whole AI thing. I don't know what you guys' opinion is on the AI. But there's...
Just calm. Let me merge in. Let's see. Wait, I see hold and accept and an accept. I don't see anything else.
There should be a hold and accept.
Okay. Hold.
You know, how involved her questions are or answers. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi. Is this Adam?
Yeah.
Hi, Adam. Good to meet you. I'm Brian McFarlane. I am into Mandela Effect research, and this is going to be a little experiment here. I've never done this before. I've never actually talked to a couple who is Mandela affected. That's really different and interesting, I might say. It's funny, I actually met Jarica through Facebook, and she was responding to one of the posts. Jarica, do you remember which post that was that you responded to? Or that I did?
It was meet the Millers. Yeah.
Yes,
or
Meet the Millers. Versus We're the Millers as it is now in this reality. What do you guys both remember? Tell me.
Well, I haven't seen the movie, but I remember seeing the ads for it being, let's see, it was Meet the Millers, and now it's
We're the Millers?
We're the Millers, yeah.
Okay. So what does your husband think about that? You remember it Meet the Millers 100%, right?
Yeah.
Adam, what do you think about that?
I guess I don't really have a memory of that one a whole lot, actually.
Oh, okay.
So
that's fine. Some of these things can be quite vague. They can be kind of vague. So are you guys pretty strong on, tell me if this resonates with you, Oscar Mayer versus Oscar Mayer? Which one is it?
Oscar Mayer, definitely.
M-E-Y-E-R?
Yeah. Yeah,
Both of you?
Found a...
I actually remember it with the A, actually, but...
Oh, wow. That's incredible. See, I'm wondering if it's the upgraded, because you know how we all have that, a little bit of ignorance when it comes to some of these? I mean, I'm not saying it's ignorance, it's receiving the upgrade, and you're like, it's always been like that, right? It took me a while. I'll give you an example. The Rubik's Cube. Do you guys ever remember it being, now I have to ask you first, how old are both of you?
I'm 29.
So we have 29, and what's the other one?
30.
Okay, 30, okay. And both of you remember the Rubik's Cube from the 80s, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember it ever having an X at some point, like when you were a kid?
Yeah, I feel like it was an X.
Yeah, I thought it had an X in it as well, actually.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, because that one is one of those prime examples that it took me a while to accept that one was an X. Although I do remember it, it's like part of me says it was always the KS, but I remember it with an X. How about Chick-fil-A? That's one of you guys' favorite restaurants, right? You ever go there or try to go there on a Sunday and they're closed and you're like, darn, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's weird about that one was it was right around the time I was kind of like going down the rabbit hole, so to speak. Like, I worked right by a Chick-fil-A, and it was during the process of when it was all kind of scary and I wasn't like talking to people about it very much that I actually saw it one day. Because I drove past it every day on my break at work, and I actually saw it go from like CHIC to CHICK.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I came back from my break, and I was just like pale and like sweaty, and I was just like, I don't know. It was, and I told my coworkers, and they were just teasing me, and I don't. It was easy timing, like that happened right during that time. It was a trip for sure.
It was a trip down memory lane for a minute there. I've heard stories. I've heard stories where people like are walking through the. Hang on, give me a sec. I'm putting Candice on hold here, so give me just a second.
Okay.
She wants to interview you guys too, because she's on the other end of the spectrum. She has not been. Her husband is not Mandela affected, so this will be a great experiment, I think. Hold on, guys, just real quick. Okay, hey you guys, I'm back. Yeah, I have Candice here with me, and I wanted to tell you just real quick about Chick-fil-A because it's interesting. Okay, I used to work there back in. It was from '96. I remember it was my sister's birthday. I started on her birthday, August 31st, 1996. I was still 15 at the time, and I remember from '96 up until around 2000. Because I left in 2001 to join the military, but prior to that, I remember the Chick-fil-A having the C and not it was CHIC-FILA, and it's funny now that it has the K. Sometime while I was in the military up until now, it changed. I'm just not sure when. Do you guys have any clear idea when it might have changed for you guys?
Well, for me, it definitely changed in November of last year. Like, I don't know if it's just because that's when I was becoming aware of things. But it was, I don't know, that's when everything was happening for me because I don't know if it's just if that's when I noticed it or that's when I started to be able to see everything, but it was that day on my break when I was researching everything and I was looking into everything and I was seeing everything and it was an intense time. So,
yeah, so is that
I don't know, maybe that's just when I noticed it.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
There was another thing I wanted to say real quick about Chick-fil-A is that I was at a store up in Tifton, Georgia, and they had the K was actually missing. I have a picture of it somewhere. I'll have to share that. I'll share it with you, and you guys probably would get a kick out of that one. But yeah, and I actually I called the store and I asked them, how do you spell Chick-fil-A? And they all said CHIC-FILA. I was like, what? Wait a minute now. Because the K is gone temporarily, but that doesn't mean it's, because it didn't match this reality for a minute there. So I called like 2 days later. Okay, apparently apparently I called several times, and I spoke with the managers. I even spoke with their marketing department, and they said it was with a K always. So they looked at me like I was crazy, I guess, on the phone. So 2 days later, needless to say, the sign was fixed. And they even told me over the phone the sign has been fixed. I was like, darn. I wanted to get more, like a better resolution picture. But yeah, we had fun there. And there was the old Chick-fil-A where I worked at. And this is like, what was it, 1996? So that's got to be 20 years ago. I spoke to there's a woman that still works there. And she got freaked out when I talked to her back in October. See, I woke up to the effect back around August, September last year. And I started documenting things in October. I said, man, I got to document everything, right? So I spoke to her, and she freaked out when she found out it had a K. Because she noticed it on the floor mat, just then. And then it came to her, oh, my God, I have this old memory. So I haven't spoken to her since. I think I freaked her out. But I'm going to try to follow up. I also spoke to my old boss, and he's like, yeah, they're just changing things, whatever. He's got that kind of attitude. But you guys are cool. You guys are a couple. How long you been married?
Over 4 years now.
Yep.
We've been together for longer than that.
Hey, congrats, you guys. Any kids? Kids on the way?
What was that?
Sorry.
Yeah,
and
sorry.
Kids. You guys have kids?
Oh yeah, 2.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah. That's awesome. Are they into Mandela Effect stuff as well?
Our 8-year-old, yeah, she kind of catches some of the videos, and she notices some of the things. We use that Bragg's seasoning, that liquid Bragg's seasoning. And I opened the fridge one day, and I pulled it out, and she was looking at it, and she was like, brag? She's like, what is it, bragging about itself? And she started laughing, and she was like, where'd the S go? It's never been brag. It's always been brags. And I was already aware of that one, and I was like, you noticed that, huh? And she was like, yeah. Is it like, I don't remember how she worded to the effect of, did they make the label wrong or something?
I know.
And I was like, nope. Yeah, she noticed that. And then, also, we'll go to the gas station, and she's pointed out some of the things that's wrong with some of the candies, like Kit Kat, and so now me and her have this joke about, we're not going to get Kit Kats till they give us the dash back and things like that.
Oh yeah. So it becomes almost like a game for them, right? Your 8-year-old is looking for things too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. See that's when you guys both get along. Like you guys at least both agree on the Mandela effect. I love it. And
yeah,
there was something else I was going to say about what was it? There's some other, I've done, let's see, over almost about 800 videos so far on the effect. Not everyone is an actual effect, though. Do you guys remember something back from the 80s and 90s? There was a commercial for Drug-Free America. Do you remember that one? About the egg in the frying pan?
That video of yours?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do you remember? This is your brain?
This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah, this is your brain on drugs, and then they'd crack it.
Yeah, that one really got to me. Because now it's different. And so you guys seem to both resonate with that one. So there are some effects that they seem to resonate with more people than others. And why do you think that is? I am curious. And Candice, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hey, Candice. I was just curious about that. Just this, Jarica, you want to take that one? Why do you think some effects are different than others? And then we'll hear from Adam and then Candice.
Why
How's that? Why do you think
why
some
they
effects?
resonate more with some than others?
I want to know, yeah. Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. Like, it's a really good question. I really don't know. Maybe just different eras that we're from or different sensitivities. Maybe, you know.
Yes. I just thank you for reminding me. That last one we were just talking about with Bragg and Braggs, right? Because now it's Bragg.
Yeah.
That sort of reminds me of Depends. Because everybody knows Depends. They used to advertise it. We used to make jokes about it. Depends, adult diapers. And what is it now?
Yeah.
It's just Depend.
Yeah.
So does that one resonate with both of you? Let's ask that first.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'll use that one a lot when I'm trying to like get to people, or when I'm trying to tell people about the effect. I'll be like, hey, what are those adult diapers called? And they'll be like, Depends. And I'll be like, nuh-uh, they're Depends now. And then they'll be like, get out of here, like, stop it. And I'm like, no, for real, go look. You know?
Yeah. And here's another situation. Like, I spoke to somebody about John Deere, this is a guy who works on these tractors. He's been working on them since like the 60s. He tells me that Chick-fil-A, I asked him about Chick-fil-A, he remembers it changing, the name changing from a CHIC to CHICK in 2001. And he tells me it was because of legal issues. And actually, it was because one of the sons or daughters or something like that may have taken over the business. So that's what he thinks it was. I didn't bother to delve into it too much further because I was still new in the Mandela effect and I haven't really fully understood its meaning. But I remember John Deere without the E at the end, and now it has that extra E. Does that one resonate with both of you, or do you remember John Deere not having the E? Or
Absolutely. Like, we live in like a real country area.
Yeah.
It looks stupid, like John Deere. I'm sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I was just gonna say, like, there's like a John Deere, like a store or whatever, like dealer that I've passed plenty of times, and I always remember it without the E at the end. So.
Yeah, it's really strange, and the guy told me it changed for him, John Deere, in the 2000s as well. Although, you know, you look back in since the 1920s or something like that, it's been like that. So that's really bizarre. Do you guys feel? Now I'm going to ask Candice this one too. Candice, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys feel, Candice, do you feel that something is editing history? Or something has edited history? I'll put it like that. Do you feel like that sometimes with the Mandela?
Well, that's what every Mandela changes, isn't it?
It seems like that. So tell us about
why some people recognize some effects more than others would be really just what you're paying attention to. I mean, you might like or not like rap music or metal. You know, it depends on, because we're not always fact-checking. We didn't know in the past that we would have to fact-check. So you're really going to notice whatever you were paying attention to before and what you're studying. And then there's flip-flops, which is a whole other thing. Like if you're studying it now and it changes next week.
Have you guys noticed any,
I guess that's another question, is whether or not they've had any flip-flops. Whether you guys have had any flip-flops as well.
Yeah, that's a good question. She's asking you guys, do you guys ever notice any flip-flops?
Oh, yeah.
If you know what they are. Yeah.
Adam, he pointed out. Tell him the one that you keep noticing.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers song, the one where it says the city I live in, the city of Angel now is what it says, but it used to say Angels. I swear I've like listened to that song like a million times. It comes on like almost every day on my playlist when I'm at work and stuff, and sometimes though it flips back and forth. It has the S and sometimes it doesn't, and it's very
Yeah.
Wow. See, I don't listen to that song all the time, so I wouldn't be able to catch it in mid-change. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's
I've been
awesome.
with him when it does it too. Like we'll go out to eat and we'll be like just, eating our whatever, our fries or whatever in the car. And it'll come on, so like we'll like turn it up and we'll just like stop eating so we can hear it. And it'll say Angels. And then we'll be driving down the road and it'll come on his playlist. So we'll like stop talking and turn it up and it'll say Angel. And it just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And he who brought this up to me, it's crazy.
Kind of like our experiment the other day.
Yes, we had.
Sometimes people are hearing things differently.
What was that experiment we did, Candice?
Well, that was when we were playing back in Hotel California for like a couple of hours, remember?
Yeah.
Arguing about what we were hearing.
I know. It seemed like 2 out of 3 of us every time.
Like a split group of which way was being heard.
Right. We kept hearing. There was a certain part. What was the part again, Candice? Help me out.
Heaven and hell, or
heaven and hell, or heaven or hell. That's right.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Hotel California?
This could be heaven or hell, or this could be heaven and hell. That's the part that was changing.
I don't have a firm enough memory of that song to say confidently.
I have another one for you, Candice. Actually, was brought up to me, guys, by Josh Levy. I guess his name is Josh Speed. You guys know him?
Yep, I do.
Yep. He showed me something really cool with. Do you know A Whole New World from Aladdin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's changed. Part of the song in the very beginning of it, he says he's supposed to say, what is it? Wonder by wonder. Right?
Yeah.
Wonder, take you wonder by wonder, right?
Yeah.
If you listen to it closely, now it sounds like he says, under my wonder. Take you under my wonder.
That's weird.
Which is weird. It almost sounds like...
What is...
I don't know what's going on with that song.
What is that supposed to mean?
But Josh, thank you for pointing that out. I'll play it for you guys, see if we can... Give me 1 sec here, guys. I think it's about 30 seconds into it. You guys heard that?
Yeah.
Back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Slow it down for you. You tell me if he says by or my, because he sounds like he's pronouncing a very profound M here. Listen. You heard him? He said my wonder, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is just so weird. What do you say, Candice?
It was wonder and wonder, wasn't it?
No, it's
That's what you heard.
It sounds like he's saying maybe under my wonder, but it's not saying by.
I double you both times. You'd have to play it back to me normal speed again. Here we go again.
Hold on. I mean,
wonder and wonder for me.
Right, but we're talking about whether it's by, take you wonder by wonder, or wonder my wonder.
Okay, go back one more time.
Okay, I think because that's what it is you were focused on.
Yeah, I thought you were saying that changed.
Hold on, guys. I know it's weird, guys. I'm sorry. That's one of those experiments that you guys, I'm sure you're used to it.
Time at normal speed?
Yeah, I can do it.
Because I wasn't listening to the right word before.
Hold on, let me back it up a little bit more. It's the part about I can open your eyes. I swear, it's like we're living in a Twilight Zone. Like
for me, it's by.
For you, it's What is it saying for you?
For me, it's bye.
For you, it's bye? What do you guys say?
For me, like, go ahead.
I was gonna say I can hear the M in there, kind of actually.
Yeah, like the first time I heard him say, the first time I was thinking it was wonder, but then when I heard him say the second wonder, that second, like, W is so much more pronounced that I realized the first, in comparison, is an under and not a wonder. Like, so it sounds like under my wonder to me.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, for me it was wonder by wonder.
For you it was wonder by wonder?
Yeah.
Wow. And see the lyrics, if you look up the lyrics, it actually says by, like wonder by wonder, which, you know, that's what I remember, but yet in the song it seems like it's changed.
Weird.
It's a good experiment to do. I mean, originally I came across it, and there's the Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Someone put in a little clip, fly you fools and run you fools. I'm not sure which way it's meant to be now. Which way it's flip-flopped. but they did find, you know, the subtitles said it was one way, and people were actually listening to this at the same time each other, and the timestamps and saying it was different to each other. So that's when I started looking at audio being different for people at the same time.
Yeah, that's strange. That we can hear the same song can be played, but we can hear two totally different things.
I talked to a psychologist once who told me that audio memory is actually a lot harder to confuse than visual. So that also says something.
Yeah, that says something there too.
Because, you know, I wasn't talking about these clips changing. When I was talking to him, I was talking about the fact that I could hear my aunt's grandfather clock ticking at a much slower rate of what the seconds are now. And I can still hear it ticking in my mind, and it's like the seconds were moving slower. So,
Candice, I'd be curious if we could interview your husband. Maybe we'll set that up for another time. I don't know if he's busy or whatever, but maybe we could do that for another time or something if he's...
I know if I could get him on.
Yeah, I know how it is. But
he doesn't like him.
Well, let me ask you.
Even if I know deep down inside, I believe he knows. He knows. I know he knows.
I know he does.
I've shown him proof, and he knows, and he smiles about it. So.
Oh wow.
But I just don't think he likes it. It makes him uncomfortable. Of course.
It makes him feel like a conspiracy theorist, huh? Like we're all conspiracy theorists.
or what was the last thing?
I wanted to ask you guys.
The cult or something. We're having a conversation about how I can see things that other people can't see. We were watching Marvel at the time, and I said it's like a superhero power, and you're not recognizing it. And then, you know, that's about how I see things others can't see, and he says that sounds very much like a cult leader. I'm like, no, I like to think I'm one of the good guys.
Yeah, you are. You're on the good side, and I wanted to kind of lead into that a little bit, guys. Jarica, you were going to say something, but can I ask you guys something real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm going to direct this to, well, first of all, okay, all of you can answer, okay? Are you guys religious? Do you believe in a higher power?
I do. It's not in a typical sense. I guess it's not in a, so here's the thing for me. Before the Mandela Effect happened for a few years, I was like very agnostic, almost leaning towards an agnostic place. And then after I went through the Mandela Effect, it actually brought me to realize, for myself at least, it made me think that for all this to be possible, there had to be like everything was connected. It made me believe in a higher power. I lean more towards Buddhism, so I do believe in a higher power, but not in a classic sense. But I do now. That's the thing is, like a lot of people, you know, I think they don't want to believe in the Mandela Effect because it's scary, and it was in the beginning, but for me, the Mandela Effect actually gave me back a lot of meaning because I went from, you know, kind of being so nihilistic and agnostic to now I do. I think there is a higher power and there is a consciousness of sorts. So I do now. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Jarica. And Adam, what about you? What's your stance on religion, or because religion is really a choice; it's not really forced. What do you believe there, Adam?
I kind of go with like the collective consciousness idea more so. Like I think everything's connected and everything like that. I don't know. I look at things with a more scientific outlook on them, though. So I feel like it's just like something that we don't really know how to explain, but like that everybody and everything is connected somehow, though.
I think so, and the connection is what makes us. I think it's me, honestly, from my background in religious studies and stuff like that. I sort of see it as this, the Holy Spirit sort of is what binds people together. And it's like, sometimes like you hear words and clips and phrases in your head, and it comes from somewhere. And you're right, it could be the collective conscious, it could be for me, it's the Holy Spirit. But, what do you believe, Candice? What's your religious views, if you don't mind me asking?
I have to think about how much to talk about there. But you could say I had very, very religious grandparents, and then their children were not necessarily so religious, and my aunt, who was a doctor, was a very hardcore evolutionist, who sent me to Christian school to be around people with better morals. So I've been very conflicted. Oh. Being brought up with a scientific and religious, both at the same time, background. Yeah. Well, but obviously, the Big Bang had to come from somewhere. Yeah, it did, and we're all part of an intelligent design. From nothing and nowhere. So. But I kind of have a problem with the Big Bang, and I kind of have a problem with the whole coming from the apes, and so why are there still apes? Or if we were from fish, then why are there still fish? Like, why didn't they all evolve? So. That's very true. Very true. Thank you guys for your answers on that one, for being honest, and it's okay. I know what I like to believe, and I try my hardest to believe in certain things, but I can still hear my aunt talking in my ear. So. And isn't it funny, like, when you guys hear songs and words and stuff like that, it sounds so clear, like in your head, it's like almost digital. I mean, after a couple times of hearing a song, I can literally pretty much play back every word in my head, and I can hear it as if the artist is singing. What do you call that kind of memory? That's what, audible or audio feedback or something? What do you call that memory? Audio memory. That's right. Yeah. With the Mandela Effect seems to touch on when it comes to misremembering and that sort of thing that people talk about. I was told by a psychologist that audio memory is much harder to confuse. Yeah. But it's interesting how it touches almost every aspect. Like, it touches on history, it touches on logos, like graphic design. It touches on it seems to want to reach out to everyone. Are you guys getting that sort of picture here? Does it sort of reach out to you in any way?
Yeah, it touches on world geography, people's names, spelling of words, movies, music, brands, people's personal lives. People had their bodies change a little bit. Facts in wars have changed. People have said that things in their towns have changed. Me and Adam have experienced weird things, like we had this exit on our highway that we pass every day that just kept glitching on us. and we both had experience for a couple months before we brought it up to each other. It was so bizarre, and we just things like that. You know, you've heard about people with the Mandela effect having like whole suburbs pop up around the corner from their house, and I mean, I don't know if that's really like a Mandela effect or a glitch in the matrix, but I mean, I get what you're saying, that it seems to like it doesn't leave any corner of the map untouched. It's just so evenly spread out.
Well, what are some of the main? I mean, we already know just by looking on Google real quickly some of the major Mandela effects with geography. But what have you guys noticed anything like weird, like buildings moving or appearing out of nowhere? Just anything weird like that? Have you seen maybe trees? I've seen trees like show up where they shouldn't be before. You know, anything like that?
Adam, there was a hotel that just popped up right near his work. If you want to tell him about that.
Yeah, there's like from my work, if I'm out in the back, I can like see exactly where this hotel is. But it just kind of showed up out of nowhere one day. Like I never noticed it before. Like, and I mean, it's still under construction, but it like is pretty much almost all the way built when I first noticed it. And it's visible right from where I like park, and I never noticed them building it before or like any construction going on. And then one day it was just there.
And it's huge.
Yeah, it's a big hotel.
But
there's.
I don't know. It's weird. And
go ahead. Sorry. Thank you for sharing that, Adam.
Yeah. No.
I don't know, like the glitching of the highway exit.
Oh my gosh, what?
Really weird.
Wait, you just said glitching. That is so weird.
Yeah.
I'm looking on aeon.co. I'm not lying. It says, in a shared false memory, really due to a so-called glitch in the matrix.
Synchronicity.
That's what we're going to talk about too. Candice, oh my God, did you catch that one?
What?
She said glitch right when I read the word glitch. What's going on here? Oh man. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Jarica, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. For a few months there, before we told anything to each other about this happening, we were both experiencing this exit on the highway that we both pass every day glitching. Like we would pass it, and then we would pass it again. And for a couple months, we both just were writing it off to ourselves, being like, oh, I swear I already passed that, but okay, I guess I'm stressed or something. But then after a few months of it happening, like every single day, you know, we're just like, okay. And so then we brought it up to each other. And then we decided that we'd pay attention to it while we were both in the car, you know. And so then, like, one day when we were both in the car and we're driving down the highway, I don't remember how long ago this was, Adam, but we were, like, in the car, we were driving down the road, and I think it was this summer, and...
Yeah, it was this summer.
Yeah, and we passed it, we made note of it, and then we were talking, and then I was like, Adam, and I pointed at the exit as we passed it again. And we had already made note on purpose with each other that we passed it. And then I said Adam, and I pointed at the exit as we passed it again. So we both were there, we both made note that we passed it, and then we passed it again.
Yeah, and weren't we also, like, at the same time we were actually listening to that song to hear if it was going to flip-flop?
Yeah, we were.
So it, like, happened at the same time we were, like, paying attention to one of the other Mandela effects, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, the
Red Hot
Chili Pepper song. And we both were just quiet the rest of the drive. Like, it was like, this is too, like, what?
It was almost trippy, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
Did it make your hair stand on end? Like, when you realized it was different? Like, what was your reaction?
What was that? You were cutting out.
So, what was your reaction? Did you have, like, one of those deer in the headlights kind of look? Or, I mean, like, what happened?
You're still kind of cutting out, but I think you were basically asking what our reaction was.
Yes. What was you guys' reaction?
I think we both just went kind of quiet after that because we both had been experiencing it separately for months, but to have gotten in the car and set out to catch the reaction, or to catch the glitch together, and we on the Red Hot Chili Pepper song to catch that glitch together, and both happened at the same time.
Wow. That's incredible, you guys.
So it was just kind of
went into shock a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, because how does it physically, I mean, it's one thing to hear a glitch happen in the music, but, like, when your physical surrounding, like, where do you go? Like, how does that, like, your physical body, like, is, like, repeating that same couple mile stretch somehow? Like, you pass the exit, like, you're passing it again, like, it's really hard to wrap your mind around it, and now you both know, because it's one thing to be like, when someone tells you, oh, hey, I've been experiencing this exit glitching, and you're like, shut up, so have I for months, But then when you both get in the car, and you're like, hey, we're going to watch it happen, you're like, hey, here we are, we're passing exit, hit, we're passing the hit exit, is what it's called. It's the hit, like HITT, hit exit. Like, okay, duly noted, here we go, da-da-da-da, and then you point at the exit as you pass it again. I mean, all the blood just kind of rushes out of your head, because you're like, that just really happened, you're here, I'm here, you saw it, I see it. Just silence.
Wow.
It's pretty scary if things can change while you're driving.
Yeah.
Well,
don't want to get into a crash or something.
What's funny is I actually saw this video.
It's just really hard to wrap your mind around it, and now you both know, because it's one thing to be like, when someone tells you, oh, hey, I've been experiencing this exit glitching, and you're like, shut up, so have I for months, But then when you both get in the car, and you're like, hey, we're going to watch it happen, you're like, hey, here we are, we're passing exit, we're passing the hit exit, is what it's called, it's the hit, like HITT, hit exit.
Okay, you remember you were talking about the HITT?
And then you point at the exit as you pass it. Yeah, I mean, all the blood's going to rush
Candice, you there?
out of your head. Yeah, I'm here. Because you're
okay,
like, that's
you
just really happening.
remember that?
I'm here, you saw it, I see it.
Okay.
Silence.
Wow.
Is that when I started talking about people morphing or like things morphing on the freeway being dangerous or something like that?
Let me see.
Yeah. I think I remember what we talked about right after that. We talked about near-death experiences and different car accidents we'd been in.
Well, what's funny is I actually saw this video. I was talking about I actually saw this video. Okay, and then we were talking. You're right. You're absolutely right. Okay. Was that before? We did talk about religious during that discussion. Did we mention that before?
I think that was after that. I just got some pen and paper. Make notes of things that come up.
And my aunt, who's a doctor who was
okay.
a very high religionist, who sent me to Christian school to be here.
Okay.
I think right after that we talked
we did get the religious
about
thing.
Car glitches.
Yes. Yeah.
Car glitches, travel glitches flowed after that. And then that led into what car accidents we'd been in and near after death experiences.
Yes, and I saw this video, okay, and we are recording, by the way. I saw this video where a car had just disappeared and came out of nowhere into an intersection. You guys ever have any of that type of experience? Like things teleporting, stuff of that nature?
Kind of, yeah. And Adam actually can attest to this. It might sound kind of silly, but I had this big green flower. It was like a flower I wore in my hair, like a clip. And I always kept it in the same spot in this drawer. And there was only one of them. It came on a package, with a set of earrings and a necklace, and it all fit just on the package. And I had always only had one. And one day I went to work. I was working a double because I work in a restaurant. I work lunch and dinner, and I worked lunch. I came home for my break, and then I went into the bathroom, and I looked down as I was washing my hands, and the bow was in the drawer, the flower, but it was also in my hair. And I just freaked out, and I picked it up, and Adam was talking, and I went out into the bedroom, just white as a ghost, and I looked at, and I was like, look. He was like, what? And I was like, there's 2 of these now. Right after my car accident, that was a near-death experience or whatever. And I was like, there shouldn't be 2 of these. So there was one of the green flower in the drawer where it should always be, and one in my hair. But there had always only been one, if that makes sense. So it was it duplicated itself. There were 2. And then what's really weird is it's the glitch corrected itself. Because a couple days later. What's that?
I said, now why can't that happen with money?
Oh, I know, right? But then the glitch corrected itself because a couple days later, the second green flower got destroyed. It got covered in sunscreen, and was also in the bottom of my purse with metal and a pen that got exploded, and it was completely destroyed. It was an anomaly, it wasn't supposed to be here. It was really weird. I don't know, so it's not a car jumping, out of nowhere, but I mean, Adam knew too that I'd always only had one.
Yeah, there was only one, and suddenly there was another one.
That's crazy. And I wanted to talk about some of these things, these experiences that we have. Adam, what was your side of the story here? I kind of would like to hear from you, your side of the story from your perspective, because you guys were, in the beginning, you guys were on 2 different tracks, and then you finally came around to the Mandela Effect. What was your side of the story?
Well,
can you tell us?
At first I was worried about her because she was she got really into the Mandela Effect thing and was it seemed almost like an obsession at first. It was everything she did. And when she would try to talk to me about it, sometimes it would start to bother me and everything like that. But eventually there was a time when she after a while we just didn't really talk about it anymore because it would cause fights and stuff like that. And around that time I kind of started to look into it myself too, just to see what it was all about a little bit more. And because some of the things that she had brought up before, I seemed to remember the same way she did, but I would just try to logic it away or something like that and be oh, well, I just must have misremembered it or something like that. But then when I started looking into it more on my own, I started to I was able to accept it more, I guess. And so that's when I kind of started to come around, was when I started to look at it on my own, and then we were able to start talking about it again, and to talk about it together and go over the things that we had both experienced, and go over we remember necessarily the same way, or the things that we did remember the same way. So at first it was kind of scary and everything, so I think that's why I tried to logic it away, or so to speak, or kind of push it to the back of my mind, and didn't necessarily want it to be real, I guess.
Well, at least you didn't think she was a witch at first, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't think she was a witch, no.
That's awesome. I'm glad. So how much time in between would you say that Jarica, when did you discover the Mandela Effect? When did you find out about it?
Well,
How much time in between
had like from the time that it was, waking up and going down the rabbit hole, so to speak, and then him coming to me and waking up, admitting it, was 4 months. I mean, I had experiences before I knew what to call it and give it a name, such as, seeing Skechers flip-flop in junior high or middle school and realizing Nelson Mandela was still alive and having an all-out panic attack about it in high school. But as far as waking up and then him waking up, it was 4 months.
Wow. I'm glad that you two, were able to come together about it, because, I mean, honestly, the effect seems to divide people up. I'm glad you're able to come together. And, Candice, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, so, again, we're working off of a separate timeline from about 41 minutes in. Right after that, we started losing it, and so we're having to redo this here. What is your, are we on track here? Help me out. It did.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Adam's side of the story.
I know that he was talking about how he came to believe in, when it wasn't kind of pushed on him, he wanted to look at it even more. Okay.
And there was an interesting question that Jarica had asked you. Jarica, do you remember what you had asked Candice?
Yeah, I had asked her about if she felt like there was hope, because I had talked about how during those months when I was aware of the effect and I was awake and I couldn't get through to Adam, there would be nights where I would talk to him about the effect, and sometimes I would get through, and sometimes he would remember something the way I did. And, I would be like, yes, I'm making progress. Like, he remembers it the way it used to be. Like, I would even show him evidence. I would show him residuals. And, I would feel good about it, and then, would go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and he'd be back to logicking it away or trying to debunk. But the fact that I could get through to him that night, I thought there was hope. And so I would ask Candice if she thought there was hope. Did she think that deep down he really, got it? Or that was my question.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking about how they go back into their dissonance a little bit. And I think he said that they just go back into their dissonance a little bit and come back out of it again, because it is not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and about the hope thing, I mean, that was much later in the conversation where I talked about that I believe there is hope, that people, can go back to how they were if you see them as different, that type of thing.
Well,
so I don't know how you want to go through this or the rest of the conversation, if you took notes, Brian.
I did take some notes here. We talked about you guys' religious backgrounds. We talked about synchronicities, some of those. I had mentioned category 7. Me and Teresa had a big synchronicity about that. She asked me what movie I was watching. I said category 7, and she goes, because she's freaking out here, because she had that movie in her hand that she actually got from across the hall. And then there was another synchronicity that we mentioned. Okay.
And we're talking about ESP. I said
it might be borderline ESP.
And that can lead to the synchronicity.
Yes, borderline psychic. And we talked about glitching in the matrix, actually. I was reading off this Aeon site, and just as I was reading it in my mind, Jarica over here, she mentions a glitch.
Yeah.
And what was your sentence? Do you remember what you were saying about glitching? If not, it's okay.
I don't remember now.
It's
might
okay.
Have been, I don't know, it might have been before we got cut off from recording. I don't remember though.
It could have been. But yeah, it talks about shared false memory really due to a so-called glitch in the matrix, and that was another synchronicity. I think during the show, during the whole entire time here, we've caught like 3 or 4 synchronicities, and there was another major one. Candice and I we were talking about, or she had asked me to guess what animal. Excuse me, right, Candice?
That's right. What animal I was thinking of? It could be
talk about that. You want to talk about that?
And you said to me that it was a bird, and it was either an owl or an eagle, and I said, yes, an eagle, and you said, that's what I thought. And then I made the joke about, so I was worried about you being my handler, and I was joking about that, because I didn't have one.
At some point you made a comment about the sevens. What was that comment in reference to? I'm trying to remember.
Sevens.
Yeah, you had talked about the sevens. Maybe the law of sevens or something.
Oh yeah, like we were talking about confabulation, and then I said I'd like to know how the rule of 7 comes into play. You know, where you're studying something or you see something more than 7 times, and they say that's you're meant to have memory retention. Or maybe some things we study way more than 7 times. So then if it changes, we ought to know. Like with flip-flops and things like that.
And wasn't it during around September, October where we noticed, you guys seem to notice also the, Houston we've had a problem versus Houston we have a problem. Something like that flipped around October, and so did Flintstones around that time.
Yeah, you were talking about life is like a box of chocolates as well, turning to ones, and I said, yeah, that's because Houston we've had a problem.
Yeah, and did you guys notice with,
and Jarica,
it was with the...
Jarica, you mentioned past tense. Go ahead, you could talk. Yeah, you were talking about past tense. But go ahead and talk what you were saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, with a lot of the changes, there seems to be a theme. Like life was like a box of chocolates. Houston, we've had a problem. There seems to be a lot of past tense going on, and there seems to be a lot of negative themed things with a lot of the changes. Like a lot of changes in the Bible are negative and menacing, and kind of just like they're giving a lot of the changes are giving the Bible kind of a bad tone, and even just like the movie and show changes, like rather than Luke, I'm your father, no, I am your father, and Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, rather than my neighborhood, it's the neighborhood, and just there's such a theme
like
of
this neighborhood now.
This neighborhood, excuse me. And there's just such a theme of past tense and negativity. Like, it used to be good, but now it's bad. Or something. And it's just like...
like the wolf with the lamb, and there's so much of like the 666 going on too, isn't there? World Wide Web 666.
Oh, another one I noticed.
Yeah.
Gematria Berenstain is 666.
Yeah, and I was really
hesitant.
It seems like they're putting 6s into all these logos.
The 666 thing. Yeah, for actually months, like when I was watching like videos pointing out the 666 stuff, I was like, no, nope, no, mm-mm. And now it's kind of like, there's a lot of 6s. I don't know.
Oh, another one I noticed today.
Talking about the hidden meanings in things, and so I pointed out that, well, if there is a hidden meaning in things, then that hints at it not being, random.
Well, there was another thing.
On purpose or with intent if there's a hidden meaning in a lot of the things.
I think it's pointing to Saturn. Everything is pointing to Saturn. And the sixes, that's what I think. Saturn is the sixth planet from the sun. Saturday is the sixth day of the week. There's a lot of sixes. Man was created on the sixth day. There are sixes. I noticed a new one today in Pillsbury Toaster Strudel. If you look at the box on the strudel portion, the S has a 6 on it now. Cool Whip has 3 6s on it. Chips Ahoy used to have a dot, now it has a 6. And I think a lot of these apostrophes, that why they're putting apostrophes on logos is that they're adding a 6 secretly. And it gives them power. Honestly, I think it gives them money and power when they do that. That's just my theory. But, we talk about, shifts being greater than others. Do you remember me talking about that? Were some shifts greater than others and you could feel it maybe? Did you have any of that experience with any of the shifts lately?
I feel like maybe a little over a month ago, I felt like there weren't very many changes for a while, but now within the last month, it has really picked up.
Oh, really?
Personally, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about, before you came on the show, I mentioned to you guys to get maybe a list of some of the effects that you guys had in common and some of the ones that that you don't have in common. Can you describe some of those? Maybe you want to start with some of the ones that you do? I remember you mentioned Pikachu, I think, to start off with.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when we were growing up, the Pokemon was really popular when we were growing up, and now that our kids are growing up, Pokemon's really popular again. And I really vividly remember Pikachu having the black tip on his tail. And then Adam.
I don't remember that. I always remember him not having the black tip on his tail, and I was really into Pokemon growing up, and I drew pictures of him and stuff like that, and I never did draw him with the tip on his tail. So that's one that we don't share the same memory on.
And then Oscar Mayer, I clearly remember it, Meyer, and I'd even found a residual of it. And me and Adam were together in a gas station when I found a residual of it, and I took a picture of it, and I was all, giving him a hard time, being like, oh, see, ha, ha, ha. But then for him...
Yeah, for me, I always remember the A. I remember the little jingle, my baloney has a first name, it's OSCAR. My baloney has a second name, it's MAYER. That's how I always remember singing it and hearing it. So that's another one that's different for us.
I thought of a couple more, too. Cisco, that, food company.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember it the way it used to be with CYSCO. Because I remember I used to work at this place, Aussie Eats, and, I would stock the shipment when we would get it. I remember thinking, oh, it's so gross. Why would you name your food company that? Because it looks like Crisco. But then Adam's experience.
Yeah, I remember because I worked in restaurants too, and I remember we used to get orders from them all the time, and I always remember it with the S, so not the C.
Wow.
And then the JFK assassination. This one's interesting because we both remember it having 2 rows of seating, not 6. However, I remember it in black and white originally, and he remembers it in color.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, we, both remember never hearing of the conspiracy idea that, his wife could have shot him, but Wasn't there some other weird difference, Adam, or what? Or was it just that I remember the original in black and white and you remember it in color?
I think it was just that one.
And then
Let's see,
I remember the car being the same.
There was another one that you guys,
Parmesan?
yeah, we talked about Parmesan and mayonnaise. Parmesan is one of those that, how do you spell Parmesan? Let's just go from there.
Parmesan is what I remember.
Yeah, me too. Or it may have had an I, but I think it was an E. I think you're right. Parmesan, like, sound like Sean.
Yeah.
Like the name Sean, and now the E dropped off, right? And it's Parmesan. Yet there are still people like me, countless others that say Parmesan. How is it possible that the word is spelled way different from what we make it sound? That's what I'm trying to understand.
You know, and there's a residual in Futurama. There's an episode in Futurama where they actually enunciate it like jokingly strong, where they say Parmesan cheese.
Oh wow, that's excellent. Yeah, I'll try to find that maybe, and I'll give you a shout. Thanks, Jarica.
Yeah, and what's weird, me and Adam had a weird thing with the Parmesan cheese thing too, because I thought about it a little more. We were at his mom's house having spaghetti, and she said Parmesan cheese, and I remember thinking, what? And then because I was thinking about it a little bit more, we got in the car, and I was like, why did your mom say it so weird? And he was like, that's just always how she said it. What do you mean? And I was like, well, it's not even spelled that way. Why would you say it that way? And then I kept kind of stewing on it and, talking to him about it. And he was like, no, that's how it's been spelled. And this was back when I was still like trying to wake him up, so to speak. And then after a while of him looking at the bottle and stuff.
Yeah, it started to kind of click that it looked weird, like it didn't look right. But it's like, I kind of did remember it the way it's spelled now, but like after looking at it for a while, it seemed like it started to like I was starting to remember it. Actually, that's not how it's always been spelled.
Oh my God, yeah. So you actually, I guess the upgrade failed there, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
The update, yeah. Another one that you guys did not know about tonight, mayonnaise. How do you spell mayonnaise?
Yeah.
One N or two N's?
That's one N, I thought.
One N. Yeah, one.
What about you, Candice? Mayonnaise, one N or two N's?
No, I don't think I remember two, but...
Yeah, I don't remember two, man.
Yeah, I always say it's what I don't know what point in the conversation before I pointed out how it's, what you're paying attention to at the time, and reality's probably been flipping for a while. So you would have seen things two ways.
Exactly.
And however you remember it is just what you paid attention to, really. But it could have been changing back and forth without your knowledge, because you're not fact-checking all the time. We didn't know that we needed to do this.
Well, we talked about if you build it. Some of the common ones we talked about. If you build it, what? Build a dream.
They will come.
Wait, Adam, I didn't hear you. What did you say? They will come. If you build. Yeah, so you guys both remember it that way?
Yeah.
Okay, because I actually put 2 check marks if you both remember it that way. What about when the evil queen in Snow White is staring into the mirror? What does she say?
Mirror, mirror.
Yeah, mirror, mirror.
Oh my God, wow. Yeah, so you guys both remember mirror, mirror.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Candice, are we on track?
I think so. It's hard to know, isn't it?
I know. I feel like
just keep going.
I feel like I'm in that episode of Sliding Frasers. I mean, don't you?
It's like Groundhog Day.
Well, I did take notes. Thank goodness for note taking.
I remembered another thing we remember differently.
Okay.
That painting of Gothic America.
Oh, yeah.
I remember them both looking forward very distinctively. Oh, that reminds me of another one we remember differently. Okay, so, yeah, I remember them both looking forward very distinctively. You know, that painting of, like, okay, you guys know what I'm talking about.
The farmer and his wife?
Yeah, and he remembers the lady looking at the guy.
Yeah, just slightly looking at him.
Wow.
What do you guys remember?
I remember them both looking straight forward.
Me too.
Candice?
I thought it was straight.
Okay. I mean, there's plenty of residual out there.
Well, I paid attention to it past, but I believe it was straight.
Okay, how about another one? Dolly's braces. Did she have braces or not?
Yes.
She had braces.
For a lot of people, actually.
Okay, that one affects a bit greater population, we'll say.
Adam, what do you remember?
For which one? The braces?
Moonraker?
Yeah, I remember the braces.
So I remembered another one we remembered differently. The Thinker by Rodin.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember his fist being on his chin.
I remember his fist on his chin as well.
And Adam?
Yeah, I remember it was on the forehead, I thought.
Oh, wow. See? Yeah, that's one of those, it's almost like I can see both in my head, but in this reality, he's not doing either one. He's kind of contorted. It's almost like he's sitting on his wrist. It's almost like his wrist is bent. Like, it's weird.
And they've caught him flip-flopping. Like, he switches arms, he moves, like, it's like an alive statue. It's so mind-boggling.
It sounds so
pictures?
Night at the Museum.
It's unbelievable. Have you seen the pictures of people posing in front of him where the statue behind them don't match how they're posing?
Yes, I've seen that.
How do you explain that?
No. That's weird.
Crazy.
Speaking of statue in Brazil, isn't it?
I think it is. I think it is.
I forget where it's at.
I mean the one, that statue, you know, the one where he's looking straight then looking down on the top of the hill, is that in Rio?
Are you talking about are we talking about the same statue or a different one?
Oh, I think she's talking about that.
Different one.
The one in Rio de Janeiro, the one of Jesus, the Jesus one.
That's right. So have you seen the two different versions of that in the pictures?
And see, my thing
is starting to cut out.
I've never actually seen that one. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hang on, I have to turn off Wi-Fi calling or it messes up. Hang on.
The way his hands are facing also changes.
Is that better, guys?
Whether it's looking straight or looking down.
Guys, you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, so the Rio de Janeiro thing, I'm kind of wondering if maybe the way we've seen it could have been from a movie, and maybe that's what we're seeing is like a studio. Or,
perhaps.
I mean, was that really, could have been a replica, maybe? I can't say 100% on that one.
Important to, always try to, lightly debunk ourselves a little bit so we don't lose credit, not debunk, but, keep look at other possible explanations so that we don't give fuel to people who are trying to debunk us.
Well,
yeah.
We talked about there's no denying that shared false memories exist. Neuroscience provides a hypothesis. Is it? And, we talked about engrams and memory traces. Okay, just to kind of sum it up here. Mm-hmm. And during consolidation, the memory trace is transferred from temporary sites, such as the hippocampus, to permanent storage sites in the prefrontal cortex. Prior learning creates a framework for similar memories to be stored in close proximity to one another, and this framework is known as a schema. And it talks about one bit of evidence. This is from aeon.co, okay? Mm-hmm. Prior learning creates a framework for similar memories to be stored. Let's see. Okay. they talk about semantic memory. You know, I know I've mentioned that before. Semantic memory is kind of like how your Facebook timeline shows. Everything is basically in order, okay, without emotional attachment. Shared memory traces. Okay, so anyway, recalling a memory reactivates the neurons composing the memory trace, spurring them to form new connections. So the altered circuitry then becomes stable again, and the memory is reconsolidated. How about that? Reconsolidation can reinforce learning over time by strengthening neural connections and allowing the formation of new associations. See, but the only problem there is that there's so much mass mismemory going on that, you know, I don't think
such a thing as mass confabulation.
No.
No. Yeah, if it was just me, then I would think I was crazy, but, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who, you know, kept it to themselves for years, you know.
But it's also remembering the same things the same exact way.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of it, remembering a unicorn while you're remembering a dragon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we did mention that there was one effect. Actually, we had talked about the keyboard, right? The finger bumps. You know, you guys, what do you remember about the finger bumps? We talked about the Apple computer in 1984. I remember typing with the finger bumps on the K and on the D.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You guys remember that also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
remember having to take typing class in like elementary school and not being able to look down at the keys, having to feel for them. And they would always be on like the middle finger, which would land on the D.
Mm-hmm. And and now they're on the F and on the J.
Yeah.
That's I don't know what to say about that one. I've been blind all these years until I woke up. You know, I just, since October, I just felt like I had to document everything. But we also talked to...
and screenshot. And somewhere in the conversation, I don't know if you recorded it before, I mentioned how audio memory is a lot harder confused than visual.
Mm-hmm.
So now I wonder about tactile memory, because we're talking about feeling it.
Right.
Tactile memory, you're right. That's something... You say that's when you feel something, like kind of like when you it's like a sort of touch memory, right?
There's different types of memories, and some are a lot harder. So when I was talking to a psychologist, he told me that audio memory is a lot harder to confuse than visual memory, because I talked about the time dilation and how I remember the grandfather clock ticking when I was young, you know, much slower than it's going by now. So he said to me, yes, actually audio memory is a lot harder to confuse than visual.
Well, let me ask you guys this, since we mentioned tactile memory real quick. Okay, do you know that little area in the front of your chin, does it feel like it's sort of jutted out a little bit? Like there's sort of a bump now in the front of your chin? Have you guys... I don't know, like put your hand on your chin in the front and then sort of wiggle back and forth with your hand, and you'll notice there's a bump now on there that I don't remember that being there. And this happened, for me, it happened around February, honestly. February or March.
I have a little, like, indentation there, but I always have, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird.
It's hard to know. Like I say, like paying attention to something, even visually, you might not be feeling all these things to remember. So it's a matter of what you're paying attention to.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's why I was, bringing up the tactile memory, because I do believe I remember feeling the little bump with my middle finger, which would have been on the D.
You remember that too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think so.
Yeah.
And we talked about how many spaces after a period before starting a new sentence. I know, I think it was just me on that one. Do you guys remember one or two spaces?
Just one.
Yeah, just the one.
That's crazy. So you've been taught all your life?
I've seen people do it both ways, but
you've been taught your whole life?
I don't know if that's because maybe sometimes it doesn't go across. You might have to push the cursor twice, or
Like I took keyboarding class, way back in the day, and we've been taught 2 spaces after a period, and it just seems so weird to me. I don't think I could go to 1 space. Yeah, I mean, how about let's look at it from the other end? Can you guys go to 2 spaces after a period? Probably not, huh?
Probably not.
No, probably not.
It's meant to be 1 space, I thought, but at the same time, I do remember people pressing the space bar twice.
Oh, you do? Okay. Weird.
Now, whether or not that was to get it to go across one, I don't know, because it wasn't working properly. But I remember people pressing it twice.
Okay.
But I know it's meant to be 1, so that's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Let's see. Anything else, Candice, that we missed? Because I know this is a redo. Anything else?
I know, we went over so much and it was so good. It's just
I know. Well, here's one thing I remember. Okay, you mentioned this. You brought up the thing about the Wizard of Oz. Tap your heels versus click your heels.
Yeah. Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz were one of the me's, a few months back or a couple months back, was that she taps her heels 3 times. And when I was looking it up, it was saying tap everywhere. And a lot of us remembered it being click. And then when I went to go look it up in Google, I can see click a lot now. But when you played back the video, it said tap.
Yeah, and I'll actually play that for you guys real quick so we can hear it, okay?
Yes, I'm ready now. Close your eyes. Tap your heels together 3 times.
You heard her say tap your heels together 3 times. And think to yourself, there's no place like home. Okay. So
it's a click or is it tap? But I suppose the main point is that you can add that to your list of possible flips.
I think so. I mean, that's one that resonated with everybody. That one deserves 4 check marks. That was...
Yeah.
That was insane. Well, listen, you guys have had the patience of saints. I really appreciate you coming back on here to talk about the effect and what we may have missed during this whole discussion. I really appreciate that. And
No problem.
extra kudos, guys.
No
I
problem.
did say at the end, not to give up on the people that you love, and think about whether or not you love them in every universe or reality, and to help them lift the blinders.
Yes, and the blinders is also known as the veil. I know I mentioned the veil before.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So we pray that our loved ones do have the veil lifted, and maybe they'll remember the old memories. So here's for hoping. And again, guys, thank you, and as always, have a great Mandela Effect day, and God bless. Thanks, Jarica, and thanks, Adam. Appreciate it, guys.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
All right, and good night.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Bye.